Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. You are tuned into Inspire FM 105.1 FM. It's Friday, 9th of May, and the time has now just gone 10 o'clock. Welcome to Mother's Planet, a show where there is always something to talk about in a productive and beneficial way. I'm your host, Neila, and joining me in the studio today are my guests, Christine and Neila. Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
And the sun is out.
Yes,
Isn't that? It's just totally lifted the mood.
Absolutely.
We've had quite a miserable week because it's been, I don't know about you, but I found it extremely cold. I was actually looking out for snowflakes because I was convinced it was that cold. It just got so, yeah, I saw the sunshine this morning and out comes my laundry basket. So that's the joys of sunshine for me. So how are you finding the week, ladies? Productive week?
Yes, very. It's gone quick, I think, because we had the bank holiday, which was nice. But I do sometimes think that when you have a 4-day working week, you're trying to cram so much in that by Friday you're absolutely on your knees.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I totally forgot that we had that bank holiday weekend. It just seemed to whiz by. And I think I can't even believe April's gone and we're in May.
Oh, I know. I can't believe we're in May. Where has the time gone?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. So, listeners, it's yes, as I said, it's been a strange week with the weather, and I did allocate a task of circulating my wardrobe, where I'm going to be getting rid of my winter gear and pulling out the summer gear, but I'm still clutching onto my jumpers and coats.
So am I.
I'm not quite ready to or convinced that we're going to have the sun for long, so I'm clutching onto them. Now, listeners, we are live on air, reaching out to all our listeners in Luton and surrounding areas through the airwaves at Inspire 105.1 FM. Get it right there. And you can also connect to the show via the Inspire FM webpage using TuneIn. And we're streaming live on the Facebook page where you must give the show a thumbs up and also can leave any comments around today's topic. And as always, listeners, I am taking in WhatsApp and text messages on the studio number 07779 481 822. So if you have anything that you'd like to share about the weather or questions to the ladies this morning, please do text or WhatsApp into the studio number. Now, in today's show, my guests and I will be discussing oral health, something that I think is quite a pressing need. And listeners, I'm sure you want to know a bit more about some of the flyers that you may have been seeing being distributed across the schools and around the town as well about some of these dental pop-ups. So we are going to be discussing that as well. But first, ladies, without further ado, can I please get you to introduce yourselves? I don't mind who we start with.
Okay. So good morning, everybody. My name is Neila, and I am Public Health Manager for Children and Families for Luton Borough Council, and I lead on oral health improvement.
Okay. And Christine.
Morning, everybody. I'm Christine Rogers. I work for the Early Years Alliance, but I lead on the Flying Start programme in Luton, which has been around for quite a long time. And we've been on the show a few times, so I'm hoping your listeners will
be familiar with
the name Flying Start.
Yes. But just to add on to that, for anyone that doesn't know about the organisation, just what is Flying Start?
So it's quite hard to describe Flying Start in a few sentences because I could spend all morning talking about it. But really, we are an antenatal to 5-year programme that has existed in Luton now for 10 years. We focus really on supporting families to develop their child with speech and communication and language, personal, social and emotional. But we're also there to support with the wider services and access to things like the breastfeeding support. We work with midwifery, we work with the health visiting team, the schools. We are spread across Luton. We have a lot of outreach, and we are very much a fundamental part of the Luton Family Hubs, which is a reasonably new initiative. It's been in place really for just under 3 years, but we are now branded, and you will see Flying Start as part of Luton Family Hubs. It's quite a large proportion of what we do in that under 5 arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And a much needed service. You know, we are still trying to recover from lockdown and not having these services available to us. So I think it's much. Now, Neila, I want to apologize because I think I mispronounced your name at the earlier part of the show. So I'm saying it correctly now. So Neila, please, can I just get you to briefly just talk about what it is that you do?
So I've been tasked with the enormous job of improving oral health in Luton. So I work in public health, and we do work quite closely with Flying Start, because we do focus a lot of our work on the under fives, because we recognise the importance of getting our oral health habits correct at a very young age. So it's really important. So what we do is we've got a strategy that we work towards, an improvement plan, and we look at 4 pillars. We look at dental access, we look at health, tooth hygiene, so like brushing your teeth, things of that nature. We look at the education and sort of health promotion, and fluoride. Those are the sort of the pillars of our strategy, and how we implement initiatives to support the children in those areas. So my job is really to improve the levels of decay that we see is high prevalence in Luton, and we want to reduce that and give children healthy habits that can last a lifetime.
So you must be working quite closely with dental practices across Luton then to get the data to know that what's actually going on in the town.
So how it works is there's a national survey that happens every other year for 5-year-olds, and we do a sample of 5-year-olds in all the different areas, and that indicates kind of what the prevalence, what the level of decay is in our 5-year-old children. We do have an alliance that meets quarterly. That does include the ICB, who holds the dental contracts. Some of our dentists work with us on the pop-ups, and we have good working relationships with sort of the wider network around family hubs, sort of Flying Start, our health visitors, because there are lots of touch points that people meet the children and families, and we want that MEC approach where people are telling them the things they can do, giving information and giving that support.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's interesting because, you know, I've seen the flyers and I've read a little bit about it, but why Luton, you know, and why did you feel that this was a pressing need in Luton?
So sadly, Luton has the highest level of dental decay in 5-year-olds in the east of England. And this has been something before my job, I might add. I've kind of inherited that, and it's been, you know, and we've got to improve that. A lot of people don't understand that dental health is not just about going to the dentist. It's not just about brushing your teeth. It impacts other areas of your life, confidence, communication and language. Could you imagine having no teeth? Your whole facial structure changes with no teeth. So we have got high levels of extraction. So lots of children have their teeth taken out because the decay is too bad. And that has such a big impact on their lives. It then goes further, those wider determinants, parents taking time off work, children missing school. And these are sort of the things that we look at, the wider determinants, and we need to reduce that and give people a better quality of life. So most boroughs do have something around oral health. It is a public health issue. And it is actually the most preventable childhood disease that we see in public health. It doesn't, decay is avoidable. It is.
And I think one of the questions, I was talking about this with my husband this morning, and he said, oral health, what is oral health? And I think a lot of people have a misconception about what oral health is. So maybe let's pitch it out there to the listeners to really define oral health and what it actually means, because it's not just your teeth you're taking care of. There's a lot of things that we should be, you know, taking care of. So if I can get a definition.
Absolutely. Just a caveat, I'm not a dentist. I'm not a dentist, but no, I feel like one sometimes. So absolutely. So it's your mouth health, isn't it? So it's looking at what we eat and what we drink. That impacts our mouth. And, you know, if you have too much sugar, I don't know if you've had this before, but I definitely have, too much sugar, and you feel that kind of furriness on your teeth and your tongue, because you've given all the bacteria in your mouth. It's having a party, really. Think of it like that. It's having a party with all the sugar, and it's kind of building up, and it's attacking the enamel of your teeth. Your teeth are made up of 3 levels. So you've got your pulp, which is kind of the bit in the inside, the heart of the tooth, the dentists call it. Then you've got your dentine, which is the next layer. And then you've got the enamel, which is the white bit that we see. So that's kind of what your tooth's made of. Then you've got your gums that hold your teeth in place. Then obviously you've got your tongue, and you've got the skin inside your mouth, which is very sensitive, very thin. Anyone ever had their mouth bleed? It bleeds really quickly and a lot, doesn't it? It's quite a sensitive part of your skin. So that's kind of your oral health. And all those elements need to be looked after. So brushing your teeth supports the enamel, which we see at the front. But what we eat, and if we get decay, it goes to the dentine, then it goes to the pulp, which then impacts the gum, and then you can't hold your tooth in place. We get wobbly teeth, missing teeth. So it is a bit more than just brushing your teeth, and it is quite complex. I don't know if I've done a good job of that, dentists out there.
Excellent.
I was just going to say that's a very good definition of it all. I think that I'm very impressed here. So, Christine, what's the link with Flying Start with this initiative?
So Flying Start has always had oral health as one of its key priorities. It has been a Luton priority for many years, and it's something that we've been involved with. We have a dental champion as well, an oral health champion. We have our community link workers all have a bit of a specialism area, and we have Lisa, who is our oral health champion. So we promote good oral health at every stage through every service that we offer. So even when you take it antenatally, we are encouraging mums to go to the dentist, because we know that a pregnancy has a big impact on your teeth and your gums. And actually we know that your baby will be forming their teeth in their gums in utero from 3 to 6 months. So your diet that you have actually really will impact on your child's development as well in utero, as well as when your baby comes out. So sometimes people don't understand that actually it's really important, that side of things. So the importance of a healthy diet in pregnancy is really key. But we run our oral health tips through every service that we provide, and we also link very closely with Neila and the public health team and the family hub team to make sure that actually we can be supporting the pop-ups, because actually it's a really good holistic opportunity for families to come and not only get the information and see the dentist, but actually we can give wider support around wider subjects as well. So it's a really kind of a bit like a one-stop shop. So it's really utilising that.
And also with your oral health champion, they do attend our alliances. So we've got key messages we want to get out to parents. And because Flying Start sees such a wide number of parents throughout the week, there's an opportunity for all of the community link workers to kind of share those messages and have those more discreet conversations and debunk some myths and maybe give those facts that families wouldn't get maybe at the school gates or with their friends and family. But because we've got that specialism, that oral health champion, the Flying Start team, they are a really, really big part of our oral health strategy. So they do lots.
They do. And I think also the link with the breastfeeding, we do a lot around supporting breastfeeding. Our rates in Luton are really, really good for breastfeeding, which is excellent. And we know that they impact on good oral health or good on your mouth and everything is through breastfeeding is important. But equally that Neila mentioned sugars. We know sugars in the diet are not good.
A no-go,
a very big no-go. We know, I don't know if any of your viewers saw the Panorama programme the other day, which highlighted the mismarketing perhaps that happens with some of these pouches for fruits and meals, and as a quick standby. We all use things like this, but they promote things as being a regular use, as being really healthy and nutritional for your child, but it has an impact on oral health, and it will longer term have an impact on obesity, because you get that sugar craving, which we all know that the more sugar you eat, the more you do crave it. So it's about promotion really for people and understanding.
And absolutely. I mean, I just recall from my recent visit to the dentist and things like citrus fruits, that we think it's a fruit, it's healthy. And, eating that, and especially as we get older, it's, they're not kind to our teeth.
Absolutely.
And she said to me that if you are having juice drinks, have it from a straw, don't let them sit on your teeth, because they actually the acidity of these fruits can affect your teeth.
Definitely.
So, and that's something I wasn't aware of. I thought, it's a fruit, it's going to just, it's got all the vitamins, it's going to just help me. So, I guess these kind of pop-ups are there to show people that actually what we think is healthy often can have an impact on our teeth as well. So this campaign, the pop-ups that are running, is running to Luton residents only.
Yes, it is. So we're having them across Luton. We had a run of them last year, which were really successful, and so we brought them back. We do recognise the need of them, and they are running primarily out of our family hub static sites and some of our community centres, and we do use data to inform where we have them, so we know where the highest prevalence of dental decay is for our children in Luton, so we go according to that. That said, we have had people travel quite far to come and see us, because we do know there's a national issue with getting a dentist. It's not a Luton issue. It's 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 nationwide, so people do come, but it is aimed at our Luton residents.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's under fives, and we're in 2025, 5 years on from lockdown, so these could be those children that were born in the pandemic, whose parents are just not aware of what oral health and hygiene is needed. A lot of these parents could be first-time parents, so they're not aware of what care is needed for their child's teeth. So again, the emphasis is needed, the attention's needed. So these pop-ups, where are they being held?
So it is under 10s actually. So we see under 10s for our pop-ups, but because at 10 is where we have the measurement of teeth extracted through hospitalization, so general anesthetic. So we have them, as I said, in the family hubs and bits. And at the actual pop-ups, what I think is really key is that we have different elements. So the parents arrive, they're able to have an appointment with a dentist outside of the pop-up if necessary, if they've not been to a dentist. We have lots of families older than 5 who have never seen a dentist. Luton's quite a transit population, so lots of people come into Luton potentially at an older age and still have never seen a dentist, or have come from a different country and not been to a dentist. So for that we see lots of people. Lots of people come there for that. Then we go on to another station which gives sort of some education, similar to what you were saying around debunking some of the myths. So lots of people will choose raisins and fruit, but actually, like I was saying earlier, with the enamel, that acidic attack, it does wear away at your enamel. And so if you just do that regularly and don't brush your teeth, don't have good oral health hygiene, you're going to get decay. That's what's going to happen. So we have that, which is always really interesting. Lots of parents are shocked they would choose raisins over sweets, and from a health and nutrition perspective it is better, but you need to have it with a meal, and not sort of as a snack. And we need to be brushing teeth morning and night especially. Then we move on to sort of a brushing station where we have, I don't know if anyone remembers, any of your listeners, the old purple, my mind's gone blank, disclosure tablets, sorry. So they chew a tablet and it highlights where the plaque is building up. And then we show them how to brush, how to tilt your toothbrush. And some people just sort of go in and brush their teeth really, really, really hard and just aggressively backward and forward. But actually circular motions and pushing away the plaque is the way we should be doing it. So we teach that to the children and parents. The parents are there. Then we have a lift the lip, where you're actually able to have your mouth checked by our dentist or extended duty nurses, and they will have a look and check for decay. We have a rag rating. If they're red, they're offered an appointment straight away to get that dealt with. If they're amber, then they're offered a dentist appointment with one of our other practices who are included in the project. And if they're green, they're recommended to go to a dentist in the next 6 months. So we've got a bit of a triage system there. And then Flying Start offers some lovely activities around oral health, and parents can have those conversations, a bit of peer support, and children can engage in some of the activities. And they've got some great fun things like Play-Doh teeth and sort of brushing away plaque off of lovely little displays and things. So that's sort of how the pop-up runs. And we often have people around to have those conversations, like Chris said, about the wider issues, because people come for the dentist, but we know that our families have a lot of other things. So it's a really great opportunity and a really fun event.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds really fun. I'll be there. And I guess, I like the way you've got this walkthrough where, you've got different stations where, people are getting, each station is something new that they're learning. Because teeth, it's forever been one of those, I hate going to the dentist because I think, I'm just going to get bad news every time I go. And every time I take my children, I worry that she's going to say something's wrong with them. But so I'm always pleased to hear that it's good news. But it's a fear. I think it's just breaking that barrier that it's as you said, it's a curable thing, and I think that's one of the things that really needs to be pushed out, because if we took care of our teeth, or take care of our teeth better now from a young age, then we've got more hope of actually keeping our teeth. So
definitely.
And I think it's just showing parents this, that and actually giving the children the onus as well, that
Yeah.
you can actually look after your teeth. You don't have to rely on mummy to help you brush them, and you should be giving them that independence, and
So
I think
we do have supervised toothbrushing in lots of our schools in Luton,
mm-hmm.
and the government have announced, haven't they, that we're having free supervised toothbrushing
Mm-hmm.
for 3, 4 and 5-year-olds, and that's again a nationwide. So it's really exciting, and it does give children the ownership. The difficulty with under 5s is that they don't have their own agency to buy toothpaste, to buy toothbrushes, to access that. So what we find with oral health, it kind of is generational. So my mum is South American, and she didn't brush her teeth at night. It wasn't that she's not, it just wasn't what they did. And so then as she had children, then that would follow on. So it wasn't until, I did brush my teeth at night, but not until a bit of an older age when I actually understood it, or that I wanted to, because young children don't have that choice. So we do find with the younger children, we need the parents. We need the parents to understand and value it, and it gives them the habits, and that is what changes the trajectory of their dental hygiene.
Absolutely. And it's simple things, because I can get quite pedantic with it, because certain things they'll eat and I'll say, just go and rinse your mouth out, don't let it sit on your teeth, don't let anything sit on your teeth. And I'm really I don't like it when they have like a cake and I think, oh, it's probably sitting in their teeth, in between their gums. It's just go rinse your mouth out. And even for them, when they rinse their mouth and they sit, they're like, oh my gosh. And I said, yes, that would have just sat in your mouth. So it's really important that we try and encourage those kind of things and habits as well. But as you say, it stems from the parents, because if we don't practice it or know it, then we won't be able to educate the younger generation.
I think it's interesting as well, though, how it does go back to the parents from the supervised toothbrushing. I think children take a lot in when they are at school, and actually the habit then is promoted back to the family that they needed to be doing it. So it's a really good opportunity, I think, to educate parents as much as they can, to get them to understand. My husband went to the dentist this week, which really made me laugh, because he came back and he said, oh, the dentist told me that I should spit not rinse. He said, you're always telling me that. Yes, listen to me. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about.
That's showing itself, talking about how to educate men.
Honestly, no, it's an old school. So when we grew up, and I've got 3 children, and my eldest child versus my youngest child, 5 years difference, things change. And so for our parents, and I'm sure you see it in Flying Star, first of all, we wean them at 4 months, then we wean them at 6 months. We, culturally, we sleep with our children, and my mum would definitely have us in the bed. Now we don't do that. So there's so much change, isn't there? And we need to keep up. It's a lot for the parents. It's
an awful lot for the parents. I think for the grandparents as well, because actually you have grown up with this sort of knowledge base, and then sometimes it can be a little bit challenging when perhaps the evidence is now saying you do it a different way, and perhaps then your younger family are saying, well, actually, that's not quite right.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm going to be a grandma. I'm very excited about that. And actually, so now for me, that's a whole new experience about how I'm going to be having to re-educate myself. And I feel fortunate that I work in the arena of early years, but there will still be so many things that I need to sort of get my knowledge back on, really, because no doubt they will come to me, and things have changed since I was a mum.
Absolutely. Now, listeners, if you have just tuned in, where have you been? I have the lovely ladies Christine and Neila with me this morning, and we are talking about oral health and the dental pop-ups, which we've talked about, but we didn't mention the sites they were being held at. Yes.
So our next one is going to be on the 29th of May, and it will be at our Central Library, which is our newest family hub site.
Wow. Okay. And Central Library's had quite a facelift, so there's quite a lot going on there, and there's lots of space there. So that sounds interesting, because when I hear about dental pop-ups, and I think a lot of this puts a lot of parents off, they just think, oh, there's going to be too many people, it's going to be overcrowded, I don't want to go, and it just puts a lot of people off. But having it somewhere like the Central Library, where there is space and where there is other things that the children can engage in, if it is busy, you can just go off and pick a book, read a book, and then come back to it. So that's reassuring for people to hear, because that can get, sometimes you just think, oh, it's too much, so that's nice to know that it's at a site like that. And
it's nice it's in the community, because as you said earlier, some people are frightened of the dentist, some people's experiences have been poor, and there's lots of barriers to getting to a dentist. But when it's in the community, and we've had lots of families who have come in, and children previously have been scared, they've come in and seen the activities and seen the friendly faces, and it's changed their understanding of what a dentist looks like. So coming into the community does make a difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, my youngest, who's a lockdown baby, when she started nursery, she was given her own toothpaste and toothbrush, and that was quite a novelty. She said, "This is mine." She's super possessive about it. You know, we weren't allowed to use the toothpaste, but you know, it just gives them that this is ours, and we're going to take care of it, and it's that positiveness around teeth and teeth care.
Absolutely.
Now, believe it or not, ladies, we are actually going into a short commercial break. So we are heading over, listeners, to a short commercial break. Please drop us a message again on the studio number 07779 481 822 if you have any more questions about oral health or the dental pop-ups that are running in Luton. But for now, we are going to take this opportunity for you to go and refill your brew. It could be a hot brew, cold brew, whatever it is that you're having with us this morning, and join us after a short commercial break. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Preparing for exam season with Inspire FM. Make a mind map to see your weakness and focus mainly on the weakness to improve your knowledge in the subjects. For more exam tips, stay tuned to Inspire 105.1 FM.
Greystone Solicitors are committed to protecting your rights and fighting your corner to ensure you get the best possible results. Specialising in immigration matters, employment issues, family matters, personal injury, medical negligence, civil litigation and housing. Need help with your immigration problem? Greystone Solicitors provide free immigration drop-in clinics every Friday. Call Greystone Solicitors today on 01582 343 453 or visit us at 275 Dunstable Road, Luton, LU4 8BS, and begin your journey towards justice today.
Did you thank Allah for your eyesight? A blind boy sat on the steps of a building with a hat by his feet. He held up a sign which said, "I am blind, please help." There were only a few coins in the hat. A man was walking by. He took a few coins from his pocket and dropped them into the hat. He then took the sign, turned it around, and wrote some words. He put the sign back so that everyone who walked by would see the new words. Soon the hat began to fill up. A lot more people were giving money to the blind boy. That afternoon the man who had changed the sign came to see how things were. The boy recognized his footsteps and asked, "Were you the one who changed my sign this morning?" "What did you write?" The man said, "I only wrote the truth. I said what you said, but in a different way." What he had written was, "Today is a beautiful day and I cannot see it." Of course, both signs told people that boy was blind. But the first sign simply said the boy was blind. The second sign told people they were so lucky that they were not blind.
Biscott Pharmacy, your one-stop health and beauty pharmacy in Luton, stockist of over 8,000 health and beauty products. At Biscott Pharmacy, we offer a range of services, including health advice and repeat prescriptions for collection and delivery to your home. We also offer a Hajj and Umrah vaccination. Come in and see us and ask about our Stop Smoking service. We're open 7 days a week till late, including bank holidays. Biscott Pharmacy, 157A Biscott Road, Luton. Call 457709.
The countdown is on. GCSEs are almost here. Now's the time to double down, sharpen those skills, review what matters and push through. Flashcards, past papers, mock tests. You know the drill. Every minute you invest today is a step closer to success. Stay strong, stay positive. You're almost at the finish line.
Juggling too much? Trying to keep it all together without losing your mind? You deserve some me time. Join me, Neelam, on Mother's Planet every Friday at 10 o'clock on air at 105.1 FM or via our Inspire FM Facebook page. I'll be sharing tips and discussions with my guests on topics from kids, what to cook, health, well-being, and lots more for all you special mums. That's Mother's Planet every Friday from 10 a.m. only at Inspire FM 105.1 FM.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 9th of May, and the time has now just gone 10:30. I'm your host, Neelam, and joining me in the studio are my guests, Christine and Neila. Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So earlier in the show, we were talking about the dental pop-ups that are running, that are coming, and the first one that's coming is on the 29th of May at the Central Library, which is quite nice because it's a central place. So,
Absolutely.
you know, everyone from all areas of the town can access that quite easily and come. And Neila very nicely walked us through what to expect at these pop-ups, and has reassured us that there's going to be a dentist there. So an actual qualified dentist that will be looking at children under 10, their teeth, and just taking us through a little bit about the teeth journey and how we can take care of our teeth, and also to love to take care of our teeth as well, not just, you know, have that fear that, oh, you know, our teeth are temporary, because oral hygiene, as Neila has mentioned, is one of the things that is curable and is one of the things that we can easily do, and we just need to know how to do it. So do come along to this dental pop-up to find out more information about it. Christine has also shared with us how Flying Start has a hand in some of this work that's going on in the campaign around it as well. So these dental pop-ups, do people need to book in advance?
No, so they're totally free to Luton residents, and you don't need to book in advance to turn up. We do get quite busy. We do. I'm not going to. We had over about 106 children seen at our last one at Parktown in the Easter holidays, and we that's generally kind of what we see roughly. So yeah, do come down, but don't be put off by that, because there are other things you can do while you're waiting, and there are lots of stations, so you won't be hanging around. There are lots of friendly people who you can talk to as well. No booking, just arrive and we will take you through the journey of our pop-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about some of the tangible activities that will be around there for the children. Do anyone that attends, do they take anything away, freebies or anything?
Always a freebie.
Freebies.
There is. So every child will get a free toothbrush and toothpaste pack. So you'll have toothbrush and toothpaste to take home. And we will also be giving our 10 top tips leaflet, which gives you some top tips on how to continue to look after your children's teeth. And on the back of that leaflet, there is access to a Padlet, which will give you some more information, and onto our family, our Family Hubs app, which we've got lots and lots of information about different ages and stages of oral health. So that's a really valuable resource.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to touch on that because, one of the things I wanted to talk about in the show was how listeners could, those that are tuned in, especially parents that are tuned in this morning, what things we could do to encourage oral health in our children now. So some of the tips that you could share, but also just to sort of get rid of the misconceptions, because we always think you have to have teeth to take care of teeth, and that's not the case.
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying before. What is oral health? And our teeth are one element of them, but one of the myths that we see in particularly in some cultures, that we don't need to look after the first teeth that come out. And we recommend that you, as soon as your child is eating and drinking, that you are using a cloth potentially just to wipe the gums. And as soon as that tooth appears, get them to a dentist. You want to start really early. In our Family Hub packs that the parents get to go home, we've got a little gum massage a toothbrush, so it's like a silicone that goes on your finger and you're able just to rub the gum. So they're given away to all parents who have children in Luton. So we give those away because it's really important to get that habit. So lots of children don't like the something in their mouth, or they want to put it in their mouth the way they want to and have a chew, but we want to build that habit. We want to build that habit that, you know, after in the morning and especially at night. It's something I really, 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 really want our parents to get. A lot of people brush their teeth. Well, maybe I'll speak for myself. People brush their teeth, they want fresh breath in the morning. You know, it's a habit of the morning, but nighttime is so much more important. So much more important. So we recommend nighttime brushing and one other time of the day. So if you brush your teeth before you go to bed, that is so important. And even with young children, if they're having a bottle to kind of fall asleep, or you're breastfeeding to fall asleep, just to wipe their mouth after, just take a cloth, muslin cloth, wipe over their teeth. Because when I spoke about that enamel, what happens is the sugar has a party in their mouth. It just goes, oh, this is great, and just attacks the enamel and wears it down. And if that happens 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, and you're not doing that, eventually you're going to get decay, you're going to get cavities. And that's what we want to try and avoid.
And that's interesting that you said at the night. And now I'm thinking, brushing our teeth in the morning, we're putting all sorts in our mouth through the day, liquids, foods, you know, saliva. There's all sorts of activity happening in our mouth. Whereas at nighttime, you're just sleeping. You've got the saliva building up, but as you said, that could be having a party with some of the sugar that is there.
Absolutely.
So it's probably much more important. And I've never seen it like that, actually, that the fact that nighttime brushing is as well, in fact, more important than it is in the morning. Yes,
the most important. And we promote that, don't we? At Fly and Start, we promote that in Stay in Place. We promote that at our dental pop-ups. And again, getting some fluoride varnish. So fluoride is it protects as a protective layer on your enamel. So if you think about the white part we see of our teeth, when we put fluoride, it just strengthens that and protects it. So when you visit a dentist, children will have fluoride varnish applied to their teeth. But in the toothpaste that we use, there is fluoride. And so when we use that fluoride at night and we spit and don't rinse, as Chris has told.
I was just going to say, I think we need to talk through this spit and rinse, because I think a lot of people don't understand how it works. And you know, I know I'm guilty of it. When my youngest brushes her teeth, I do make her rinse because she's constantly saying, my mouth is stinging, my mouth is stinging. They don't like the minty menthol flavour in them. And as from guilt, I think, right, okay, rinse it all out. And then I think, did I do the right thing now? Have I just defeated the purpose of brushing her teeth because she's just rinsed it all out? So spit and rinse. Let's talk a little bit about that. And I'm hoping all the husbands are tuned in. They can understand about this as well.
Absolutely. So we say spit and don't rinse. So we need to go back a step further. The recommended amount, and the adverts drive me crazy, because on a TV advert for toothpaste or toothbrush, you see a huge line of toothpaste that covers the whole head of the toothbrush. And that's not necessary. That is too much toothpaste. So if you use that amount of toothpaste and you brush your teeth, you're going to create so much foam that you're going to have to rinse it out, because it's going to be disgusting, or it's going to be burny. Like a lot of children say, oh, it's burny, I don't like it. So we that's why people like to rinse. And also, at my age, we were taught to rinse. We were always taught to rinse. So that's another thing that has changed. So when we say spit, don't rinse, what we want you to do is we want to use a pea-sized amount of toothpaste, just the size of like a little green pea. That's all you need. And you brush your teeth for 2 minutes. You go around each, you do the front, you do the back, you do your surfaces in, and I can't show you. I'm for those who can't see me. So you think about going around every surface of your tooth, and you're doing circular motions and going around. By the time you finish that, there won't be much to rinse. You will spit all of that out. You can wipe around the outside of your mouth, and then you are leaving that fluoride to strengthen your enamel. And when we teach the children at supervised toothbrushing, that's what we tell them. They dry brush in all of our schools. You don't need water. They brush their teeth with a small bit of toothpaste. They leave it on there, and that fluoride is then working its magic to strengthen those places where they might have had something trying to attack it. A bit of sugar's tried to get onto their teeth. You don't want it to get to the dentine. You don't want it to go to the next layer. You don't want it to get to the pulp, because that's when pain and difficulties come up in children's teeth, and that's for all of us, not just children.
Yeah, I earlier in the break I did have a question pop up. Is there such a thing as overbrushing? Can you overbrush now? Because a lot of people feel that, especially as a mum, she said that when she gives her child anything sweet or sugary, she's conscious that there's sugars, so she'll just make them brush. So they could be brushing their teeth 3 to 4 times a day. Now, is that overbrushing? Is that too much fluoride on the teeth? Can that have an effect?
Not a dentist, just want to say, but
just, is there such a thing as overbrushing?
I think there is. Too much of anything is not good, isn't it?
Yes.
We don't need to. So we recommend morning and night. Sometimes children have braces and things they can brush in between meals because it's more tricky to get food out. But I guess my recommendation would be, if you keep sugary snacks to meal times, that's going to be the best way, and that you use water to actually to rinse away the particles that might be left behind. That will give your teeth a really good health. And then just making sure you're brushing at night. I mean, that would be my recommendation. You don't need to brush that many times a day, not really. And I think with fluoride, you'd have to have a lot of fluoride for it to have an impact, quite a lot. So remember the size of the toothpaste you're using. So for under 3, we say like a rice grain, like really small. And then once you're 3, about a pea size. So you don't need a lot of toothpaste. And so if that's a habit or something that the mum wants to do, maybe in the middle of the day kind of brushing, just a small amount of toothpaste, or dry brushing with a toothpaste. You can just use that.
Thank you for that. And I guess we're saving on toothpaste.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh,
if we used what the adverts showed us, we'll be replacing it weekly,
and it's so expensive. Toothpaste is so expensive now. Absolutely, you shouldn't. And you can use the same toothbrush for the whole family, particularly in Luton, where we've got no fluoride in the water, and we've got risk of decay. So we can use the same toothpaste, just a smaller amount.
So
I think it just goes back again, doesn't it, to clever marketing?
I
think we all get taken in by the marketing because we actually think that they have to tell us the truth. But unfortunately, they are very economical with the truth, I think, is probably how I describe it at times.
Well said, Chris.
Well, no, yes, you have to be quite educated to know that, this is marketing and it's not actually the truth. And, and again, adverts. We could do another show totally about adverts and luring people into, buying things that they actually don't need. So, we've talked about the way teeth should be brushed and oral hygiene. We've touched a little bit about the age. And as we said, you don't necessarily have to have teeth. So for those mums that are bottle feeding, how does this kind of feeding routines impact oral health?
So I think Chris alluded to it earlier. Breastfeeding is really, 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 we've got great rates of breastfeeding in Luton, but that's actually really important for the oral health for your child as well. They have no teeth when they're first. Most children are not born with teeth. There are some that are, but most children are not born with teeth. So that's really important. With the bottle feeding, again, we really want them to. Using the bottle is appropriate, but it does come an age we've got to get them off bottles. So in Luton, we had some data that indicated high levels of decay in our incisor teeth, so your pointy teeth, and they and that is a direct link to overuse of bottles. So Flying Start and I are working on a little bit of a project. So we're looking at free flow cups. So free flow cups, not the cups that you can tip up and nothing comes out. Not the ones that are kind of, which I had for my children, but they were great because they could then shake them and nothing came out. So I do see the lure in that. But the free flow cups, am I allowed to say people names, Tommy or whatever it was called?
Right. Well, I think we've got a few brands that are out there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I think it's the beaker cups that have just got a little hole at the top, so
that just comes out easily. So we need to be using free flow cups, and that allows the liquid to go into the mouth and down rather than sort of hold on to the teeth, which is when you're having a bottle, it does. So I would be saying for younger children and breastfed and bottle fed children, that we need to be getting onto free flow cups as soon as we can.
I think I didn't like the free flow cups because it's like, when we have a cup of tea, we're taking a sip and we know to take a sip, but the children don't have that gauge, so they'll just gulp it, and so it would go everywhere. So I think as soon as I could, I introduced straws, and I said, let's just try and take it with a straw, which is quite a novelty for them because they were having a drink with a straw. So I guess that's probably the next step that people could take. Although with the way future's going and recycling, although we're all up for recycling, there's a lot of paper straws, so they can get a bit mushy and quite wet. So then it's not that great now to use the straws, but you can get the ones that are reusable, that are harder plastic, and they're in different colours. I've got a few that have got glitter on them, which is really appealing. So yes, so I guess straws would probably be, and it's again that I like them because I used to just keep a few in my bag. So if we went out to eat and I didn't have their beaker or cup with me, I would be like, oh, it's okay, I've got a straw, so let's put a straw in that and they can have a sip at that. So I think it's just this is the mother in me. Whenever I go, I've got a bag full of goodies. What do you need? So I think it's just being prepared and moving away, because I mean, not only bottles, but we've got children that shouldn't have dummies, that have got dummies. So the impact of dummies, how's that?
So dummies do have an impact on our teeth, and prolonged use of them. Again, I think you've got to think of oral health as your whole mouth. So if you're having a dummy, I mean, it affects your speech. It's a whole other conversation.
It really does.
It does affect your speech and things as well. But it can just what's the word? Just your teeth can become disorganized and misaligned when you're using the dummy, when you're holding it in your mouth. And if you're eating something, a sort of dummy in, dummy out, then it's having another party, really. All that is kind of getting moved around through your saliva, and it can create more decay. So overuse of bottles and dummies are a big push we're going to be having this year in Luton. And again, I've children myself. It's easily done, and it's not bad parenting. It's understanding. It's understanding the impact of it, because we want to empower our parents to be able to make right choices and give them the opportunity to change that behaviour. Some of the courses, sort of your weaning course and your Henry course, a lot of that is discussed, and that support is available.
It is. So Flying Start do have courses. We have the Henry course, which will talk to you very much around healthy lifestyles, and supporting oral health is a really fundamental part of that sits within that. We have starting solids workshops. We then have solids, the next steps, so taking it to that next level. So really giving parents the understanding about how to create healthy foods for their child. We, as Neila said earlier, 6 months is the golden time for introducing solids. Our world has changed quite a lot, I would say, around that from when my children were little. So that's something that I, again, as I said, I need to learn the new ways. The Family Hub website has an awful lot of information for families as well. The really good thing about the Luton Family Hub website is there's a lot of National Health Service information on it as well. So not only do you get the localised information, the access to Flying Start services and wider partners, but it also has that evidence-based NHS information that is there, and it's available then for parents 24/7. Just go on the website, download the app to your phone, because it will be invaluable for you.
Yes, absolutely. And we will mention that all again at the end of the show. And anyone that's not caught any of that, we will try and have that put onto the social media platforms.
We will,
of the
definitely.
show, so that's there. So yes, I guess, the weaning aspect of it, it's, not purifying the food and chomping, because again, allowing children to have food that they can chomp on even without teeth is encouraging teeth, is healthier for their gums.
I mean, I think you have to go. It's individual, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't think your teeth are going to come regardless. They're going to come in when they're going to come in. But I do think when you're weaning, I think it's more about the types of food you're using to wean. So thinking about not sort of, I know for my children younger, it was a spoon of yogurt sometimes and a spoon of broccoli to get them to open their mouth again. We do things like that, don't we, as parents? So we're thinking about, when we're weaning, we're thinking about the content of sugar in the food we're giving them. What are we weaning them on? More than kind of, and appropriately going up to chunky food and to square food and finger food, stuff like that. But I think it's more around not giving too many sugary sweet food while in those first stages of
most
weaning.
Definitely, I would agree with that. I think the baby-led weaning is very much a thing now, and actually it's very much about your little and exploring the foods, making sure you're cutting them appropriately so they're not a choking hazard. So there's a lot of information that you can gain from coming to one of our workshops, because I think it's a minefield as a new parent. I
Definitely.
mean, goodness me, it really is.
Yes, absolutely. And when you said about cutting the vegetables, absolutely, there is grapes, for instance.
Yes.
You know, we have, and there's a certain way of cutting
There
them.
is.
Because I remember when I sent my daughter to nursery, my youngest, my lockdown baby to nursery, I never had to do that with the elders. So the elders, they just got a bunch of grapes, which they picked off and ate themselves. And I sent her in, I thought, oh yeah, I remember they have to cut them. So I just got the grape and I cut it in half and then put it in. And then the nursery said we had to cut them again.
Ways. Yes,
it's
quarters long ways.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's long ways, because I thought
Choking
that
hazards,
I thought the idea was just to cut them in half so it's less going into their mouth. And she said, no, it's the choking hazard is less riskier if they cut long ways.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Again, it's going back to that evidence base, isn't it, really, about what's the current thinking and what do we know works. So it's about keeping up to date, really, with all of those things.
Absolutely.
But we are here, Flying Start Family Hubs are here to support any new parents and parents to be. So please do go on the website.
And so, Neila, I'm going to ask you a tricky question, and
Wow.
and it's going to be, I mean, maybe asking you, I mean, why do you think children under 5, particularly, you know, especially the recent statistics showing, why do you think there is such a high uptake in Luton, or, you know, anywhere? It's a nationwide problem, but, you know, we're focusing on Luton. We are in Luton, so we are focusing on Luton. But why do you think there is such a high uptake in child tooth decay?
I think it's multifaceted. It's not one reason. It's all the things we've been speaking about and then some. So I think firstly, I think lack of education. I think lots of parents, as we said, children don't have the agency to choose for themselves. So it comes down to what the parents are doing. And I think that sometimes we don't understand and we'll choose raisins rather than, you know, sweets, which is as a parent, it's good. You think I'm doing the right thing. But we're not brushing at night time. So then we're kind of counterproductive. So I think it's education. I think it is the fact that we're in a very convenient world now. So we have things like high levels of like baby pouches, the documentary we're talking about, Panorama, just convenience. Lots of parents are working now. It's, you know, we live in a really convenient world. And that sometimes means that some of the fundamental old school, dare I say, things are kind of missed a bit. I think they're probably the two main reasons we're facing that. But Luton's not the only area that has that. It's a worldwide thing, really. As I said, oral health decay in children is the most preventable disease that we've got. It really is. It's so preventable, but people just don't know. And I think we've looked at oral health for too long as go to the dentist. So we think about the last 5 years. I don't like to talk about COVID. It feels like a different lifetime away, but we think about the last 5 years. That's a whole 5 years of children. And we have about 3,000 children born every year in Luton. It's a lot of children who haven't had access to a dentist, whose parents have been isolated, who have not had potentially the support from families because we've had a lot of isolation. That in itself is going to cause problems, isn't it? So I think it's not one reason. I don't know if I'm answering the question quite right. It's multifaceted, I think. But I think the good news story is we can change it. It can be changed. Though we're in this position, it can be changed. And we look at lots of data in public health, and we have seen other areas that we see that they have improved it. They have decreased it through things like supervised toothbrushing, through things like educating our parents on spit, don't rinse, use small amounts of toothpaste, brush, especially at night, get onto your free flow cups and off the bottles and dummies. Those key messages have made a difference in other areas. So I feel really, really hopeful that Luton will do the same, which is why we put so much effort into it. But I don't think there's one reason, and I don't think it's anyone's fault, if you like. It's just multifaceted. There's lots and lots of reasons and drivers to why we have this problem in our young children. And I think it's a big issue in the West, just generally, I think, because of our diets, our consumption, our convenience, all of those things. And we're really pro what the government are doing, really, around supervised toothbrushing. If we can get that done into our schools. When I first came into post, there were about 2 schools in Luton doing it. We've got about 36 schools doing it now, which has been a really big uptake. And we have other programs like Growing Healthy Families in Luton. So we really given it that kind of holistic approach, which will have an impact not just on oral health, but on all areas of the children's health. We want to grow healthy families in Luton and give children the opportunity to have the best health they can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hopeful that these dental pop-ups that you're projecting, and I just to go on that, are these one-offs, or is this going to be something that's continuous? Because I know you said you ran it last year.
Yeah, we did. So when I came into post, we needed to stand something up quite quickly, and we did sort of a pilot of 10, and they were so popular. But with all things, it's funding, and we kind of had a little bit of a break. There was a change in contracts with the ICB and NHS and stuff, so there are other things that were happening, but we have brought them back, and they will be every month from now until December. We'll have one every month.
Wow, brilliant.
But I don't know what the future holds for them. We don't know. Word on the streets is that getting a dentist appointment is a bit easier than it was. It has got better. We're working very closely with the ICB, working closely with a couple of key dentists in Luton. So it is getting better. They are more of a intervention to support the current state, not the answer. So it's kind of a little bit of a double-edged sword, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but that's fantastic to know that they are going to be running monthly. Now, ladies, we have come to the end of the show. It's gone too fast.
It goes so fast.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you both, and I have no doubt listeners have been able to benefit from today's show, and especially learn quite a bit about oral health. For anyone needing any further information and any contact details, just listen out to the show, follow up on the Facebook page. I will have everything posted on there. But for now, Friday blessings to everyone, and thank you, ladies.
Thank you
for having us.